Hi, Dave Snyder here. It is the last day of May 2013, 31st. Okay, so like I've said before, I like to show this every once in a while. The desktop. This is the Earth. This would be like the Earth, and this would be actual size of the moon if we're to go by the prints that are on the Earth that I show all the time. Right now, basically, I have flooded YouTube with videos. I mean, if you look up something about the moon, usually you'll find one of my videos, or a couple of them at least. I mean, I don't want to keep doing that, to where it just gets out of, just gets totally, to where I become a nuisance basically on YouTube. I don't want to do that. So, but, I mean, I've showed so many things, and I've seen so many things doing this. I do this every day. And I'm going to take a little break for a minute, because I'm kind of getting burned out on this whole, subject, kind of. I mean, I'm not really burned out on it. It's just I don't want to burn everybody else out on it. You know what I mean? I just want to give everybody a chance to just let it soak in. Maybe you'll take a look. Maybe you won't. Maybe you think it's nonsense. Maybe you don't. Maybe you think there's something to it. Okay? And if you don't, if you think it's nonsense and you haven't looked, I just recommend that you do take a look, at least a couple times. Put a little effort into it and just try it out. Because I mean, something's going on here. I'm telling you, there's something to it. If this didn't happen, then they're making the they're making the lunar images. The lunar images would be fake and made to fit the Earth and the weather patterns. I don't know it could only be that, or these Earth images are fake. You know what I mean? Or I'm just completely off base. I mean, totally off my rocker, fucking lost my mind, right? But I'm telling you, I'm a pretty level-headed guy. I mean, I'm not an idiot. I know what I'm seeing. I mean, I got a big, giant 42-inch screen, and I'm pretty, my eyes aren't so bad yet. I mean, they're not too good, but they're not so bad. I mean, I've been seeing this for a long time, and I mean, I've used the moon to actually put continents back together again. So I mean, like I made a video about it. You see me do it that one time. When I put North America here over the Sahara Desert and Europe. All I did was line up the Mare Oriental Basin here the way that it fit the best, and the way that it fit North America the best. And then I took North America and put it over the Sahara, and you've seen it just lined right up, all on its own basically, by using the crater. The crater showed me where to put North America over Africa, and then when I did that, you can just clearly see it. Now I bring it up there. It's been there for a few months probably. I'm guessing at least probably almost 3, at least 2 for sure. Okay, and every time I check the weather here, anytime there's weather, there's not always weather here though. That's the only problem. Look at anytime there's even a little bit of weather here on the coast of North America and Mexico, okay, it'll fit every time. Now there's not much weather there now, but I've showed many times when there has been weather there, it'll come right up against the edge of this, and it'll curve in right there, and it'll just hug this, or it'll just come in and fit right along in here. I've seen it. Just trust me, it'll fit all the time, and then you can see that it fits over the Sahara. It's the same print. Everything's the same print in North America and in the Sahara right there. This whole area you can see right here. This would be Colorado in the Rockies, right? This curved area here. It's the same thing, people. It is absolutely the same thing. So anytime there's weather over here that will intrude into this picture, will absolutely fit. Like it was made. Like the weather was made there. You know what I mean? Made to fit that, and not made to fit it, but made there, like it's actual weather in America. Anytime there's weather there, and I mean over here too, over here on the East Coast as well. Check it out. Now sometimes it'll show itself a lot clearer than other times. Right now maybe it's not showing itself clear, but it is fitting there, guaranteed. Guaranteed. Look at that. Look at this up here where it comes over here and it curves. Look at it's fitting that area of North America right there perfectly. Absolutely perfect. And and another thing is now this is Asia where it's supposed to be, right? This is where Asia is today. Now I have overlays of the moon right here in Central Asia that I've shown several times. Now, if I bring that up, it absolutely will fit in the Atlantic, right in the same spot, like it was here during when this impact that I showed. Goddamn mouse. When this impact happened that I show in Asia, it must have been here at the time. Now maybe that's what sent America that way. I tend to think that it all pretty much comes from the Pacific, where the subduction is. I think everything was there at one time, pretty much, and basically I think most of it started here, originated here. I don't know for sure. That's a guess. But the subduction, these are definitely impacts. That's definitely an impact. This is definitely an impact. This whole circle of Indonesia is definitely an impact, and they overlap. Okay, and there's also one down here, another one right here. So and you got, I'm pretty sure you got a couple down here actually. Okay, so this is the target. This is the highly impacted area of the Earth. There's no other area on the damn planet that looks that way, people. This is the impact side, and possibly the other side is the exit wound side where you have the ridges. Okay, even though over here in the Atlantic the weather will show impacts over here all the time, but that doesn't necessarily mean they took place there. They could be just showing it on the plate. Maybe the plate was the whole entire North American plate was pushed over there, and it's still showing weather over the top of that, but it happens somewhere else. It's really complicated figuring that stuff out. I'm not really good at that part, but I do know that continents have very similar, unique patterns that match each other, and I don't see they either were over the same hotspot on the Earth and shaped almost. I don't know how they could be shaped so similarly by just being in the same hotspot, moved away, and then another continent be created in the same spot, and have it turn out the same, so close to being the same exact shape. You know what I'm saying? Like Canada, here, for example. If you take Canada, if you just just put an imaginary line right here, if you just save Canada take Canada and bring it down over the top of the United States. You think it'll fit? You think this coastline right here, Matt, look at this coastline right here. Look at the curve of the coastline in Canada. You don't think that looks like that coastline right there in the United States? Absolutely does. And if you take Canada and you bring it down over here, over the United States, it does fit. It absolutely fits. No doubt about it. So either it was pushed off the top of the United States, or it was shaped somehow the same way at a different time, by maybe the same part of the moon hitting two different parts of the Earth. It's hard to figure that out. I tend to believe that a lot of stuff was pushed off the top off the other layers of the continents or something. Maybe, who knows? Maybe the Earth was bigger. When the moon hits it, maybe it shrinks. Who knows? You know, that's for us to all figure out. That's for all of us to figure out. But there is a big lead on the weather is pointing out a lot. Some days it really points out some really obvious shit. I mean, no joke. No joke to it. And here's, you see this big circle in the clouds. I mean, I've been told that that's because it's circular because it was at the pole at one time. That's very possible. I'm not going to disagree with that. I would not, because I don't know. And they do say that this was, you know, this area was the North Pole at one time or something like that. I've heard that. But like they say, when it comes to magnetism, opposite poles attract, like poles repel. Okay, that's all. I tend to go with the magnetism more than I do gravity. I believe it's more of a because it's a universal force. I mean, it's magnetism. Everything is a magnet, pretty much. Everything is a magnet. And if the moon is actually bigger than they say, like it appears, like the prints on the Earth show, if it's actually 5 times bigger than they're telling us, which would be amazing for them to be able to get away with such a big fat lie, but would it? They get away with everything, all the other bullshit lies. I mean, look at 9/11. You don't think they got away with that? I mean, we all know it's a bullshit lie, but they got away with it, didn't they? There's still people out there that think it was terrorists. Probably more than half of the world would tell you it was a terrorist. So I mean, they get away with it regardless. I mean, whether it's true or not. That, you know, if they wanted to tell you the moon was a certain size, they're going to get away with that because you can't. You have no way to really measure it. And they say that that's been figured out since way back in ancient times. You don't think if those ancient people really figured it out and they knew that it brought gold and all that shit to the earth, you don't think they would lie? I'm telling you that the elite liars have been around since the beginning of mankind. You know what I mean? Anybody, ever since someone wanted to have power over somebody else, you better believe they've been lying and steering people in the wrong direction. You can't believe what they show you on the ocean floor. If you think that they're going to tell you the truth about what's on the ocean floor, if they don't have to, they're not going to tell you. I mean, that's national security or whatever. They're not going to tell you what it actually looks like or show you because you can't go down and see it yourself. Even if you did and you went and bought yourself a big old sonar and you were able to do it yourself and see what was down there, big deal. So you know who else is who. What are you going? You could tell other people. But if they want you to think something else, you're going to think what they want you to think about that kind of shit because there's no way anybody else is going to be able to check it and announce it to everybody else if they don't want them to. They'll just, you know how they are. They just shut the guy up or bring him in or whatever. You know, they just usually probably try to bring him in. If they can't bring him in, they just kill him. And you know that's how it works. I mean, I just don't want. I'm not very naive. I've pretty much got a pretty good idea how things work on this planet. If they don't have to tell you the truth, they sure as hell won't. Right? They only tell you the only time that the government ever tells you the truth is when they're busted and they just can't. There's no way around it. They just have to because it's so obvious or whatever. The only time. And they're sure not going to share what this looks like with us or other countries, but now that it's a global community, I guess that it doesn't really make any difference. But before, you know, the submarines and all that stuff, if you think that they were going to show Russia what the ocean floor looked like, you know, by putting out Google Earth and they're going to put out the real ocean floor, you're out of your mind thinking that. It would be nice to think that we all share everything that way and everything's all truthful, but you got to, like I said, be out of your mind, basically, to even think that, for sure. If it gives anybody any advantage to everybody over everybody else or anybody else, they're not gonna, you know, share that. That's, you know, it sucks to think that, but that's just the way it is. That's the way I think. You know. And it brings the gold, it creates the diamonds, creates all the crystals, all that shit that's formed in, and look at the walls of the Grand Canyon. I mean, there's so many obvious things, people. So I just, basically, anyways, I just want to point this out, you know, just to try it out. Save some pictures of the moon, make it bigger, and when you see weather patterns that are circular or whatever, you'll get the hang of it. Use the Schrodinger crater often. You'll see that all over the place all the time. You can watch my videos, see where I put it, and you can put it right there. I mean, Schrodinger crater will go right here at the Great Slave Lake. Absolutely perfect, without any weather. You can take the Schrodinger crater, flip it over, put it right over the Great Slave Lake, and you'll see exactly how it goes without any weather there. No, that's no problem. That's a no-brainer. And it'll go right here too. That's why I'm saying it's like these like this half of the continent was over this, because it fits the same direction up here as it does down here. So this was probably here, and they were created at the same time. This area here and that area there were probably created at the same time. But then one area was pushed off, or something happened, and that's all that's all I do is try to figure that out by putting the moon's surface over the Earth. You know, I use the south pole of the moon often because it's a major player, and I mean, look at the poles on both poles of our Earth right now, the North Pole and the South Pole. You can fit every crater that's on the moon practically somewhere in here. The South Pole of the moon and Mare Oriental. Down here I haven't really put any other ones besides those two, but I'm sure there are others that will fit down here. But at the North Pole, I've put them all at the North Pole. Tycho, Copernicus, you name it. Mare Oriental, the South Pole of the Moon. They will all fit the North Pole of the Moon. No problem. All the time. Everything will fit up there because they've all hit the same. They just it's like I said, magnetic. It has to be magnetic. Has to be. And this, you got Iceland right here. Probably part of the center of one of those impacts. I'm sure it was actually positive. You know, and it's right along the ridge, but it's like the center of one of those impacts, or a major part of one of them. Everything is basically everything that was probably created. Mostly, look at the ocean floor. I mean, the oceans are deep, right? Those are all impacts that made those oceans, not just the water just getting heavy and sinking down. You got to be kidding. They're so many thousands of feet deep. Those started out as probably big giant impacts scattered around, filling with water, you know, something. Maybe the water came from the moon as well. That's very, very good possibility too. Or just from hitting the earth and basically freezing it in its tracks, you know what I mean? Keeping it from spinning like it does. Maybe it trades places with the moon. There's a lot to figure out. There's so many things, so many possibilities I can think of, you know, that I have thought of. You know, it's possible that a big giant comet comes along. There's supposed to be one coming pretty soon, right? It's not a big, huge, giant one, but it's pretty big. What if that hits the sun while right where the Earth is facing it, and it hits the side of the sun? It's facing the Earth at that very moment. Could you imagine the CME that it would produce towards the Earth? I mean, it would be massive, and maybe that just wipes out the magnetic field just long enough to maybe either flip the poles. It could do anything. It could happen at any time, people. At any time. Once the magnetic poles reverse on the Earth, that's it. Moon's coming back, baby. I have no doubt. And they say this. I got two different sources for the 30th century. I got that one. If you've ever seen the documentary, you know, the one about the magnetic field, that old one with that dorky ass song. Okay, that one right there. The guy says that he says in that video that it may last maybe through to the next millennium. Okay, or next millennium, right? Which would be the 30th century, right? Okay, then you got Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon is no joke. No fucking joke. I'm telling you right now. Those people in that write that shit. That's no joke. I'm not kidding. They know, and they hint around every one of those musicals. They hint around to it. They talk about how Sailor Moon will be one day, your presence will become a burden, and they say shit like that. And you know, it's got to pay really close attention to what's going on. Each one of those characters is either a planet or the moon or a comet or something. Each character is something that happened in the past. Pay attention. That Kuratsuki or whatever, that has that pulse to destroy humanity, mistrust the earth, destroy humanity, and dressed in silver. You don't think that's? And her name represents Black Moon. And then they got the song, the moon, the earth, or what is it? The 30th century will belong to the Black Moon. Something like that. The 30th century will belong to the Black Moon or something. I'm telling you, people, that lady, those people know. No joke. So there's a lot to it that needs to be figured out. I mean, if maybe you just don't want to think about it, but to me, I think it's pretty interesting that they've been able. The most interesting part is how long they've been able to get away with telling us bullshit. How we've closed ourselves off and just to forget about it because it's such a not, it's something you don't really want to think about. If you got a family and all that, you don't want to think about that kind of stuff because you think you just want to pray to God, which basically, in my eyes, is what the moon is. People looked at it like that. Okay, it was in the God who art out in heaven or whatever. There it is. It's in heaven right there. There's the sun. They worship the sun. There's the moon. Worship the moon. That's basically what I think. I'm not a very religious person. I don't believe in God. Basically, I think people believe in God was something that that they had to fear. You fear God, basically, because God, Sailor Moon, what she say? She's on behalf of the moon. You know, I'll punish you on behalf of the moon. I'm telling you, moon's hit the earth. I see it every day. The weather shows it clearly. And have a nice summer, people. I mean, just take a look at it if you have any interest at all in what's going on here and what really shapes this planet. I mean, look, they say it's being repelled. Okay, well, the poles must be alike right now. They must be like poles. Our poles on the Earth must be the same as they are on the moon. Our south is down, their south is down, or whatever. So it's pushing the moon away slowly. But that's not always been happening, and it's not always going to happen. Especially if the moon is 5 times bigger than they say. If it's 5 times bigger, it must be further away. There's no way they ever went there. You know damn well. So I think it's a big bullshit story, and I think that either that or everything else is. I don't know. It's hard to believe anything anymore with all this Sandy Hook and all this fucking bombing shit going on in Boston. And you know, I just have a hard time with anything, period, especially stuff like this that comes out from these people. You know, it just could be a whole trick for us all, harp rings and everything. You know what I mean? Just a bunch of shit to distract us. Who knows? But I trust the Japanese people. The shit they say in those musicals, there's no way they would hint around like that. I know that the lady that created Sailor Moon, she's seen the same thing I did, because she studied astronomy first. And Japanese people, they're serious when they study. They do their best. They always do their best, and I believe that. I believe that she did her best, and she's seen the same things that I see. The claw print of mistakes. I know what I know what they're talking about. I know, I've seen it. The Mayan mask. I've seen that countless times. The Mayan calendar is Mare Oriental. I'm telling you. Check it out, people. Have a good summer. I'll probably make another video soon, but you know, I just want to take a little break from this. So have a good one.